Hi, my loves. So, I wanted to make another episode before I turned 29 about 28 truths that I learned at age 28. So, stay tuned. This is a good one, though. I'm going to be here for a while. So, if you like my longer episodes, this one is for you. Get comfy, get you a drink, get you some popcorn or a snack, and get comfy. My name is Nikki. I'm initiated high priestess, witch, psychic medium, and a spiritista. And I make content about witchcraft, spirituality, rituals, spell work, metaphysics, mediumship, inner work, personal development, energetics, all that kind of stuff. If that interests you, go ahead and subscribe and also hit the notification bell so that we can stay connected. So let's dive right in true Siren fashion. So, number one is self-worth. I don't negotiate it anymore, especially with how hard I've worked, not just like internally on my emotional stuff and my healing and my spirituality, but also in every other aspect of my life. And I'm like, I've proven to myself that I am who I say I am. I'm not going to negotiate that with anyone, you know? That's probably number one, the most important. I don't negotiate my prices. I don't negotiate my boundaries, my worth, none of that. And I just, if someone doesn't agree, they're not welcome in my role. Simple. Number two, boundaries. The people that love you will adjust. Okay? And I've made a lot of content about boundaries the last month or so, ever since the Capricorn full moon. Checking out in my Destiny Swapping playlist and also my Dark Feminine playlist, the activations. But boundaries are essential, and the more that I integrate them and embody them, the more I see the rewards of having good boundaries. Okay, I could go on and on about that, but that's the most important. Number three, healing. When you are committed to it. Okay, that's a little asterisk. A lot of people say they want healing, but they're not willing to do the work. But real healing is not linear at all. And sometimes it's very uncomfortable and messy. And it just comes with the territory. But if you stay consistent, it does get easier and it is worth it. And the fruit of your labor of healing is not always quickly visible on the outside. Sometimes it takes time for our physical reality to match our inner world and catch up. That's okay. Do it anyway. Healing will cost you old identities and old relationships. That's okay. Do it anyway. Number four, rest. Burnout isn't cute. It's not a personality trait. It's not anything that earns you a trophy in reality. And even if it does, somehow you still pay for it in some other way. And it's just not worth it. I am ruthless about my rest. And if I notice my energy getting low, I shut down my output. I shut down whatever I'm doing. And I go rest. That way I'm not trying to get back up from zero. Okay, that's very important because when you're in burnout, you're actually in the negative. So if you can prevent getting in the negative from not even reaching zero, you're in good shape. But that comes with time and learning your body, learning how your body, reacts to certain things and all that. Number five, intuition. I have listened to my intuition this last year more than any other year prior, and it has served me immensely well. Highly recommend. The first, probably the biggest thing that really helped me to 10x my intuition when I first started my spiritual journey was tarot and connecting to my spirit guides. Like, I got so good at tarot that I knew what cards would come out before I would turn the card over. Yeah. So definitely, connect with your intuition, however you see fit. Number 6, when it comes to friendship and relationships, the reciprocity is a real love language. And I stopped overgiving in any connection. I stopped allowing myself to be unequally yoked. That kind of ties in with number 1, the self-worth. If it's not reciprocal and it's not feeding me energetically, I'm not gonna have that connection in my life. Number 7, desire. Ooh, and this was a big one for me. Wanting more out of life is not you being ungrateful. Something that I've realized lately is like 97% of people cannot wrap their heads around the simple fact that 2 things can be true at the same time. A lot of people can't conceptualize this whatsoever, but especially the concept of I can be grateful for everything I have and where I've come from and where I've been and where I am now, and also I can want more. That doesn't make me ungrateful. And as the divine feminine, a lot of times we are like a black pit, a black hole of never-ending desires, and it's that very desire of the feminine, of the woman, that has created worlds and entire systems and civilizations and trends and aesthetics. Curtains exist. Probably because a woman was like, you know what? That window would look a lot nicer if it had some cute fabric laying over it. And also, the woman probably wanted to sleep in, so it was multi-purpose. Home decor exists because a woman decided, hey, I know we live in a cave, but we can at least decorate the walls a little bit. It's inherently and divinely feminine. Desire. And desire is a very powerful manifesting tool. I can't tell y'all how many things have just literally fallen in my lap because I realized the desire and I held it in my heart, and with very little or any legwork from me, within a few hours, days, or weeks, the thing showed up. Desire is literally God implanting ideas that your soul would like to have in your being. Trust that. Assuming they're healthy. Number 8, identity. You are allowed to outgrow past versions of you. A big part of healing is saying, you know what, I don't want to be this person anymore. I recognize what happened to me was not my fault, but holding on to this pain and this trauma, and also the behaviors or the mindsets or the patterns or the beliefs that stemmed from that painful experience are not serving me. I don't want to be that bitch anymore. Okay? That's a big one. Number 9, grief. It does not disappear. It integrates. And I didn't realize this until really this year. Early June of this year was 7 years since my Daddy B as I call him, passed away. I've cried a lot the last month. And my dad and I also share the same birthday. It was fun when I was a little kid. It was a special bond that only my dad and I had. But when grief comes up, I sit with it. And as I said to someone recently, sometimes grief, energetically, it's simply the love that we have for this person or this being, and it has no physical place to go. That's when you turn on a candle, in my case at my Bovada, and you give them some light, and you talk to them, and you pray for their soul, and you connect with them, if you feel called. Number 10, my favorite, joy. Small joys save entire seasons. Your joy matters. Make it a priority and be ruthless in the protection of it. If I share my joy with you and my joy turns you into a fucking hater, it's like, I love this example that Jennifer Lewis gave. She's very famous for giving this example, so much so about joy that people have torn her down on the internet and the tabloids for it. I'm not sure when this was. I think it was a few decades ago. But it was, one of her previous partners was driving. And she was in the passenger seat, and they're driving in the daytime, and they just come across the most beautiful pink tree. It was like a cherry blossom or something, I'm sure. And Jennifer Lewis goes, "Oh my God, that is such a pretty tree." And her partner, he says, he glares at her and turns to her and says, "You say that about every damn tree." And she was like, "Oh, no, that's it." And obviously, y'all use common sense. It had, like she said, her words, it had to build. That wasn't the first time that asshole tried to tear her down in her joy. You know, it's one thing to say, you know, I know you're really happy right now, and I don't want to take that away from you, but I'm having a hard time. That's different than just being a fucking miserable hater. Okay? If someone relentlessly tears down and tries to minimize or divert or tank your joy, get them the fuck out. That's an energy leak. Or if they see your joy as an excuse to project onto you or instill fear into you, no, fuck that. Number 11, discipline. And this is my quote. So if you quote it, that's fine, but give me credit. Consistency is a love spell for your future self. I'm going to say that again. Consistency is a love spell for your future self. Self-love is not all about pedicures and face masks and getting your hair done and buying new makeup and bubble baths. Did I say that already? I don't know. And bath salts and new perfume. That's part of it, and I love all those things, don't get me wrong. But that's very superficial. This year I realized, and even more importantly, I embody the principle that discipline, sometimes when it's done healthily, is a form of self-love for your future self and your descendants and your future godchildren, if that applies to you, and your future clients. Okay. Number 12, forgiveness, especially towards yourself, is so important. I've said this before, I'm a Capricorn moon. And one thing that I've noticed about Capricorn moons is 9 times out of 10, we're very old souls. And with that sometimes comes what's called an internal locus of control, which is a psychological concept that basically says that if you have an internal locus of control, when something negative happens to you, your first instinctual reaction is to look within. And sometimes that looks like blaming yourself. And if you have an external locus of control, that's the opposite. You blame other people, right? You don't take any responsibility. And obviously, both of those can be toxic and harmful, right? But I blamed myself for a lot of things along my path that I had gone through. And I would beat myself up for not knowing any better. And I realized a few different things about that. Thankfully to my godparents and also my spirit guides. And one of those things was, if I didn't go through that experience, especially the ones that were foisted onto me by fucking malicious, nasty, narcissistic predators, I wouldn't know any better. Because I don't think like a predator like they do. You know? And if I don't think like these assholes, and I've never experienced them before, how could I know how to protect myself? How could I teach my future children or godchildren how to protect themselves if I didn't go through that? Because I wasn't raised by those types of people. At least my dad. My mother, whole different story. But my daddy, the man that raised me alone, was not that type of person. But when he passed away, when I was 21, those predators saw the blood in the water. And it's like, because I went through that experience and I got the wisdom and the knowledge from it, which is great, I would beat myself up for not knowing any better. Because I know now, right? But it's a paradox, because I wouldn't know any better if I hadn't gone through it. It wasn't punishment or bad karma, it was just part of my soul's path for what she's meant to do. And here's a little metaphysical secret when it comes to stuff like that. That's not bad karma or punishment, but just something that your soul has to go through. The goal isn't to avoid it the first time. It's to avoid it the second, third, fourth, fifth, 18th time. You know, I got a lot of ass whoopings and knee scrapings, but I fucking learned. Quickly. So much so I can smell that nasty energy 10 feet away. From myself or my clients. And best believe, until the day that I transition and become an ancestor, I'm going to use that experience. And here's another little secret with that. I learned that a lot of times when you actually decide to extract the wisdom and the spiritual medicine of what you went through and use it to help yourself and even better help the planet, it gets easier. God just wants you to do something with that experience that is positive to your life and your path and the planet. Alchemy is magical as fuck. So forgive yourself. Don't beat yourself up for not knowing any better. If you hadn't gone through that, you wouldn't know any better, and that's why you went through it in the first place. That's what I would tell 21, 22-year-old Nikki. 13, money. Safety comes from strategy, financial literacy, energetics, alignment, all that. Not shame or fear. A lot of women have certain fears around money, and I get it. I've been there. It's just an unfortunate part of our conditioning. It's not our fault. But we also haven't had the chance to even be financially literate because of oppression and sexism. So be patient with yourself when it comes to money and learning about it, but respect it and respect your hard work. Money is just an energy. It's a blessing, but it's a currency. It's a current, right? It's an energy. Number 14, beauty is an energy. It's not about your age. "15. Confidence. This is a big one. It grows when you stop abandoning yourself. If you struggle with confidence, that's where you can start with boundaries. Stop abandoning yourself in relationships that drain you and hurt you and don't give you truly anything positive, and take what positive you do have. You can start there and stand in it. If you're a lover, you deserve to be loved well, not taken from, and not mistreated. A lot of people, male and female, because they've been hurt and hardened over the years and become jaded, it makes them bitter. And so when they see a lover, when they see someone that is just so loving and kind and nurturing and giving emotionally, this goes for romantic and intimate relationships and other ones. A lot of people will project their wounds onto you because they're jealous. Because they feel like they've lost that soft, innocent, nurturing part of themselves. You can't fix those people by loving them more and giving them more of what they already mistreat and don't appreciate. They're jealous because you haven't become bitter like them. You'll be sitting there racking your brain wondering, why is this person mistreating me? What can I do better? What am I doing wrong? What's wrong with me? Whole time, it actually has nothing to do with you. It's their own wounds that they're projecting and spiritually hot potatoing onto you. Set a boundary, give them a grace period to catch up, and if they don't, cut them off. Sounds ruthless and harsh, but sometimes, if you've been fucking nurturing and loving and soft to a person and they don't appreciate it at all, and on top of that, they mistreat you, eventually you gotta harden the fuck up and cut them off. You have to swing to the opposite end of the spectrum. Sometimes they'll catch up and change their ways, other times they won't. But you have to do what's best for you. And staying in a one-sided relationship like that is not what's best for you. If you struggle with confidence, start there. Stop abandoning yourself. 16. Solitude. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. I love my solitude. I've always been a loner. Because I'm God-sourced. I'm self-resourced. 9 times out of 10, other people don't give me energy. Unless it's truly a divine, aligned connection in my life. Most people take energy from me, so I have to recharge. That's okay. Elena Cardone, Grant Cardone's wife, has a beautiful quote she talks about one of the best things that she ever did to change her life in her late 20s was become a best friend to herself, because she realized that she was very, very good at being a best friend and a cheerleader to other people, but she wasn't so good at doing those things for herself and lovingly holding herself accountable. And when she did that, when she became a best friend to herself, everything changed. And when I need that reminder, I think of Miss Elena, and it works. 17. Romance. You can be the love of your own life first. If you have, I'm gonna be 100% transparent with y'all. I've spent most of my 20s single, by choice. I didn't have to. I could have been married and settled down and had like 4, 5, 8 kids by now, if I really wanted to. I've been proposed to 4 times, and I said no. Because they were never the one, and I like doing my own thing. And yeah. You can create romance and love and passion in your life outside of a romantic relationship. I'm not doubting romantic relationships. It's just, if you're not in that season of life yet where that's happening for you, you don't have to be miserable in the process. Create romance and passion and love and stuff for yourself. You're allowed and capable of doing that. And nurture the people and their relationships that love you. Love does not just come to us through men. Love does not just come to us through intimacy. Okay? 18. Truth-telling. Not that I've ever been a liar, but honesty is a form of self-respect. Knowing your truth, admitting your truth, and more importantly, standing in that truth is very important. It takes balls, and as we say in Romani, I think this is a Yiddish word that we borrowed, chespa, cojones, balls. It takes balls to have honesty, both with yourself and in life. 19. Closure is a fucking joke. You can give it to yourself. Period. There's no sense in beating a dead horse. I hate that analogy, but yeah. 20. Faith. The universe responds to certainty. Complete game changer. 21. Embodiment. Y'all have heard me use that word a lot. Your power lives in your presence. Don't just talk about it, be about it. And it will serve you well. 22. Discipleship to self. Devotion to your own path changes everything, and it does. Everything changed for me when I finally just accepted myself and how God made me, and I stopped trying to be like everyone else or wanting to be like anyone else, and I just did my absolute best to design a life that matched how God made me. And things got so much easier. Not perfect, but easier. 23. Patience. And there's a little asterisk here, because with some stuff, I'm not patient. I'm not. You know, and there's a certain element of divine timing with that as well. And having that discernment of knowing when to move versus when to be patient is a strategy and a skill, but divine timing is rarely early and it's never late. Sometimes it is early. Sometimes God will surprise you or hoodwink you into something. I have a good example of this. I think it was about 3 weeks ago, I was just like randomly looking at my phone, and y'all would not believe what I found. I found a note in my notes app from 2020. I think it was like December 16th, 2020 or something. Before I even started my business, right? Of course, ideas. Granted, none of those ideas I would publish a course on now. I've outgrown it completely. But it wasn't the right time. I had to kind of get my skin in the game. I had to create a brand and, prove myself worthy of being a fucking teacher and learning and also embodying. I had to grow into who I was meant to become. But the idea was there. The seed was planted. And honestly, I completely ditched the idea of doing courses for 5 years. And then it just came to life a few months ago. In the right time, in divine timing. I wasn't ready to teach before this past spring. because I wasn't embodying it all the way, you know? But that's a good example of divine timing. It happened in God's time, not mine. 24, accountability. Self honesty is the fastest route to transformation. I promise you, a lot of people are terrified of holding themselves accountable because they don't want to be wrong. And it's like, I became the complete opposite. Like, once I realized in a certain situation that I was the fucking problem, I'm like, oh, thank God. Because that's easy. That is so much easier to fix than if someone else is the problem. Because I can control me and what I do. I can't control anybody else. So if I'm the problem, that means I'm also the solution, type thing. Let's see. 25. Pleasure. This kind of goes back to joy. Life feels better when you let it, when you allow it to. Let certain things, good, healthy things, be easy. Okay? And that takes time to learn, but I promise you, let things be easy when they can. 26. Courage. Fear is a door, not a stop sign. Okay? I said in my previous episode, I've done a lot of things this last year that when I was doing them, I felt like I was going to throw up. True story. And I did the thing anyway. Show up and do it anyway. I stopped letting my anxiety rule my life. Women, because of all the trauma that we've been through, we naturally carry a lot of anxiety and fear and lack self-trust and all that. It's completely normal. It doesn't mean it serves us. And I don't judge you. Like, I still have my anxious days. But it's gotten a lot better once I did the thing anyway. And discernment is key here because I'm not telling y'all to do things that you know are harmful or detrimental to you. No, sometimes there's a reason that aversion is there. But if it's something that you know will serve you well and just scares you a little bit, then do it. And it's a hell of a lot easier said than done. I know that. But if I can go through everything that I've gone through and still show up and, like, do the fucking thing anyway and not be unalived, so can you. And if you really do struggle with, like, debilitating anxiety and stuff, it's okay to go to the doctor. You can be spiritual and also receive the help and the mental health support from professionals that you need. Please do not listen to these people that tell you that being on mental health medication is not makes you unspiritual. That is BS. Get the help that you need. If it's not medication, maybe it's therapy or maybe it's both. I don't know. But we are holistic beings. That's one thing that I learned in nursing school that has stuck with me and has changed, like, it influences the way that I help my clients, aka spiritually speaking, treat my patients if you want to compare it to a medical setting. But I look at us as holistic beings, heart, mind, body, and spirit, right? I'll be fully transparent with y'all. I have, as needed, anxiety meds in my purse that It's nothing strong. It's not Xanax or diazepam or Valium or any of that nasty shit. Ugh, no. It's very light, but it does work. It's not habit forming, and it's just there if I need it, you know? I have no shame in that because that's the support that I need at this season of my life. And something that I noticed is having these different tools in place, especially because I have ADHD, like having these different things in place, for example, my as needed anxiety meds in my purse, it almost is a paradox because knowing that that is there takes a little bit of the edge off. Okay, so receive the support that you need. It's okay. All right? Sometimes asking for help is you being courageous in that moment. 27. Rebirth. You can start over at any moment. And this year, because it's a fire horse year, especially during fire seasons, fire sign seasons. So we already had Aries season. We're coming up on Leo season, and then Sag in November, late November. Like, this fire energy can help you with your transformation, and it's the perfect time to manifest your transformation and your rebirth. Okay? There's like a concept in finance that my daddy taught me about the sunken cost fallacy. And this principle can be applied to every area of life, not just money or finance or business. But it's basically like this belief system that human beings have of I've invested X amount of dollars into this, or I've invested X amount of years into this relationship. And even though it's no longer serving me at all, and it's actually hurting me, because I've invested this money, time, energy, whatever, I need to stay in it. Okay? That's like Nikki's definition of it. But just to help y'all, because I know a lot of women struggle with this because we're conditioned to and hoodwinked into having this belief system, especially in relationships. Like, he treats me like Mirda, like crap, but I've been with him for 5.5 years, and if I break up with him, those 5.5 years are wasted, so I might as well stay. No. Okay, sunken cost fallacy. Okay, it says, this is from Google. The sunken cost fallacy is a cognitive bias where you continue a failing endeavor, such as a bad job, relationship, or investment, simply because you have already invested time, money, or effort into it. This leads to irrational decision making, as past resources are unrecoverable, and future goals and outcomes should dictate your choices instead. Why this happens: loss aversion. Psychologically, the pain of losing something feels much worse than the joy of gaining something of equal value, causing people to hold on tightly to avoid quote-unquote wasting their prior investments. The second part of why it happens, it says ego and commitment bias. It is often hard to admit that previous choices were wrong. People continue investing to justify their past actions to themselves and others. Okay? So just keep that in mind, you know. If you're really like passionate about something and you know it's good for you, maybe it's a healthy relationship that y'all are just having a little road bump, or it's your business that you love, and maybe you don't need to burn the business down. Maybe you just need better marketing or something or whatever. That's different. Okay, so discernment is key. All right, because there's going to be hard moments with anything that you do. But sometimes you get to pick your hard. My thing is, if something's going to be hard, damn it, it's going to be in the name of something I love or something I'm passionate about. Because it make that love that I have for that person or that thing that I know is meant to be in my life, because I've had these conversations with God, very important, that love or passion I have for that person or that thing makes the struggle and the little bit of suffering worth it and bearable, right? That's just my 2 cents. 28. Gratitude. It keeps your heart soft enough to receive more. I know that the spiritual community and the internet space as a whole kind of has taken the concept of gratitude and used it almost to gaslight us. Like, oh, you should be grateful type thing. And that goes back to one of the earlier points I made about desire, where I said that two things can be true at the same time. You can want a better life or circumstance for yourself and also be grateful for what you do have in this moment. Two things can be true at the same time. Okay? Even if you can only find one thing that you can truly feel grateful for. Because I'm not going to try to, like, shame you into feeling like you should be grateful to have shelter and food and water, because most people don't have that. Not most people, I'm sorry. Some people don't have those things. That's not my approach. Because I know what it's like to have those things, and you're like, yeah, I feel guilty because I should feel and be grateful for these things, but I have them, but I don't have the will to live right now. So none of that crap matters. I know what that state of being feels like. But just, even if you're in a very depressed moment, you still have air in your lungs. That means God and the divine has not declared your time up yet. You still have a chance. You still have potential. And if that's all you can be grateful for, hey, that's okay. If all you can be, like, truly feel in your heart grateful for right now is a piece of clothing that you love, or a perfume that makes you feel sexy, or whatever, cling to that. Like I said earlier, your joy matters. Okay? And when those blessings do come, like, really make it a point to, like, sit with it and feel it in your body and absorb it and embody that joy and just receive it. Don't push it away. Don't hot potato it and give it to somebody else. Sit with the joy. Get comfortable feeling happy and grateful. Okay? I love y'all. I know this was a long episode. We're about 45 minutes in, so if you listened this long, thank you for being here. I love you. If you would like to send me a birthday gift, you can go to sirensnectar.com/tips and put something in my little tip jar. It would mean a lot to me. You can also check out my courses, my boxed mystery school at sirensnectar.com/courses. And if you have a podcast topic request, as long as it pertains to my niche, So witchcraft, rituals, spell work, spirituality, inner work, healing, divine feminine, all that kind of stuff, metaphysics. Go to sirensnectar.com/request and fill out the form, and I might talk about it. But I love y'all so much. I'm ready to wrap up year 28. It was the most transformative year of my life, and I'm so proud. And I've planted some really good seeds along the way. A lot of seeds, girl. I got like, energetically, this year I planted a whole fucking farm. Like, not just one plant. No, like rows and rows of corn in the spiritual world. So I can't wait to see what happens 29 onward. I love y'all. Let me know what you thought down below, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.